Yo, we back at it. Shawn, Prez, Benzino. You know how these interviews go.
Come on, you know we the Jordan and Pippen of this, man, Prezi. Let's do it, man.
There you go. Yo, I'm going to tell you something, Ray. We got a lot to talk about. There's so much going on.
Wow.
And I'm dying to hear your perspective.
Wow.
We can't even start this interview off.
I know what you're going to start it off with, though.
Tell me where I'm about to go.
The smack heard around the world.
There you go. Around the world.
The smack heard around the world. It'll go down in history as the most famous smack ever.
Oh my God. And you know what's the craziest part? I love my people.
Yeah.
Why did it have to be between two of the good guys?
And that's
like it, right?
Yeah. That's how I feel. That's how I feel.
Oh my.
I mean,
love my people.
You know, both of them are really the high echelon of what we have to offer as far as black men in entertainment, man. You know, Chris Rock has been around so long. He has a very illustrious career. You know what I'm saying? Very, very successful. And of course, Will Smith is like, you know, box office magic. He's the, you know, Ron was just saying him, Denzel, and Michael B are like the top three. So how does that happen, man, where you have two men standing on top of the world and that happens? I mean, it was surprising, it was shocking. I was a little saddened, you know. And you know what, Prez, not just necessarily saddened because of what happened, because see, I could put myself in Will's position and understand it. It's after that and seeing all the commentary and hearing all the people saying that he deserved it and they're glad that he did it, that Will did it. And because see, I just don't feel like at that level, you know, of influence, you don't want to put that message across that it's okay to settle differences that way. I mean, even me in my older age and trying to mature and trying to see things different so I could make sure that I'm passing it down to my kids and anybody else, you know, because I never want to sound like a hypocrite because I've been in situations, you know, you remember the
no question.
You remember the reunion, the Love and Hip Hop reunion, you know. So you know, I was sticking up for my girl, and then you know, things happened. You know, violence happened. So I understand, but we got to do better, Prez. We got to do better.
Nah,
man.
we got to do better. I want to get your thoughts, real talk, because it was over a G.I. Jane joke. Like he did. Look, So you think the joke was just the straw that broke the camel's back?
I mean, I don't know if it was the G.I. Jane joke. I think the joke when he was saying that nobody invited Jada to the Oscars hurt more than that.
Okay, he said that in 2016.
Because the way I look at it is like, you know, I mean, let's face it, Jada Pinkett, the hood holds her dearly. I mean, you know, women. When I say the hood, I mean us. Like the movies she been in wasn't up for no Academy Awards, but they're big movies to us. And she's one of our, you know, she's one of our gifts as far as our movies. You know what I'm saying? Like the Men's Societies, the Boys in the Hoods, those movies. Those are our movies and we hold them dearly. And she's like the queen of those movies. And I know she's done a lot of other stuff, The Matrix, and she's done TV, but you know, she's known really from the hood. So, you know, I notice a lot of women, it's she can't do wrong in a lot of women's eyes, but I just got to keep it 100, you know. I don't agree with the way she's been treating Will. See, I don't agree with that.
Now we're going now we're getting to the heart of this. Go ahead. I want to hear where you go with it.
I feel like blasting him on social media, embarrassing them, because again, I've been through that too. You know, I've been through that with women, going on social media, saying horrible stuff. I tend to ignore it now, and I'm sure Will does too, but after a while, man, it just builds up. So I think, you know, the situation with the entanglement, whatever that is, you know what I'm saying? Only things that entangled in mine is like my sneaker laces sometimes. I've never been in an entanglement, you know what I'm saying? But yeah, man, you know, I think she's handled their relationship wrong. And again, it's just my opinion. Maybe she's looking at Will as so successful and so big, and maybe I think that's where she wants to be. So I think I don't want to say jealous, but it's in that realm of watching him be huge, major, and she's, before they got together, she was pretty big. So now I think she's looking as, damn, well, it's like I took a backseat to my husband. I really wasn't ready for that. I don't think she was ready for that.
But how does that translate into Will finding it necessary because if you look at that clip, like when Chris said the joke, Will laughed. Like he actually laughed. Then he looked at his wife, and I don't know what unspoken language they speak,
man, listen.
But he completely flipped.
He had a breakdown. He had a mental breakdown. He did. Sometimes people don't understand that the pressure of being with a woman is that there's pressure on a man. And Will seems like a great guy that he's trying to please everybody. He seems like the type of guy that wants to please. And, maybe he just he came to his breaking point at that point. And it necessarily spilled over to Chris Rock, unfortunately, because those jokes didn't warrant him getting smacked at the Oscars, for sure. I know if I was sitting at the Soul Train Awards and me and my girl and someone's making jokes and I go up there, I'm gonna get tackled before I even hit the stage. You know what I'm saying?
No question.
And then if I did get to him, I'm gonna be leaving the auditorium in handcuffs. So Will better be lucky,
thing, right?
Will better be lucky he's Will Smith. You know what I'm saying? I just think I just really think it was the pressure. I think a lot of it has to do with their relationship. And I mean, she's emasculated him. And maybe right then and there, he tried to prove to her that I am a man and I will stick up for you. And I hope out of all of this that Jada's learned from this. I hope after all this, the one who learns is Jada Pinkett Smith. I hope she learns from this. I hope she can look in the mirror and reflect on herself and see where she's probably pressured this man and got him going crazy. Because I'm telling you, I know that feeling, bro. Like, you're with somebody and they're angry and you're trying to make them happy. You know what I'm saying? Especially when you're successful. Because, like I said, Jada was big before she got with Will.
Absolutely.
She got with Will and she kind of took a back seat. And I think all the stuff that she's done to Will is because of that. I think she's a little frustrated with her career and, looking at him get all the extra love and all the accolades. And, I think this was a cry. Everything she does is a cry to be like, look, I'm still here too. I'm still that chick too. You know what I'm saying? And, it's so crazy. I met Jada Pinkett Smith back in the day, and check this out. She's a nice person. This was probably the last time I've ever danced at a club. I met her when dancing at a club was still the thing in New York. And me and Dave Mays was at this club, and I remember dancing with her. I was like, oh shit, I was like tripping, First of all, I'm not that great of a dancer, but you know what I'm saying? I could do a little 1-2 step. But she was real nice, real humble. And I remember, I think Maxwell came in and she had to leave. It was somebody else but I say that to say I met her and she was a really, really nice person and really humble. So whatever they go through, man, I'm just rooting for them. Because like I said, I understand it. I almost really look at them and been like, damn, that was like my situation. Where you're with somebody. Somebody told me, I forgot who told me this. They said, there's not enough room for 2 stars in a household. I'll never forget that. They said, there's not enough room for 2 stars in a household. They said it almost never works. So them being together, how long they been together now, Prez? 20 years?
They've been together over 20 years.
Over 20 years?
Over
That's
20,
a long
about 25,
time.
yeah.
That's a long time. So, our culture holds them like Jay and Beyonce. You know what I'm saying? They're our power couple, and I hope they get it right. Now, I know Chris Rock is just not going to lay down for that. I don't, he didn't press charges, and you got to give him props for that. And the way he handled it was dope. It's like he kept it going. He didn't flinch, he didn't complain. He just, wow, I just got smacked the shit out of me by Will Smith. He still kept it funny. But I know Chris Rock, he's just not going to lay down for that. Now, I don't know what he's going to do.
Nor should he. Nor should he.
Right.
Like, let's just keep it 100. And then we'll move on from this. If you come to any comedy club, you go to any event, and there's a comedian hosting, if you are in the first row, second row, third row, and you are within the line of sight of that comedian, it is fair game. We all know that. I don't care who you are. You better come in there with your hair done right. You better not be with no loud suits on because it is open season on you. So, and to keep it on, like he said, I threw a softball joke at you. This wasn't even a hard one. Like, I didn't do.
Not compared to the stuff that I've heard Chris Rock. Chris Rock and Cat Williams are probably the best.
Chris Rock is he's one of the biggest comedians and most successful comedians ever to
at that
walk
type of
planet
comedy.
Earth.
At that type of comedy. As far as seeing somebody and just joning on them, he's one of the best. Him and Cat Williams will tear your ass apart. Dave Chappelle's not that type of comedian. You know what I'm saying? Because there's different type of comedians. But when it comes to just spontaneous looking at you and just breaking you down, he's the greatest at that. And, he was getting on everybody. It just wasn't Jada. You know what I'm saying?
But what he could have did in that moment, you got to respect this man and his professionalism because he didn't. What he could have done, the way if that softball G.I. Jane joke hurt your feelings that much, after the slap, he could have really humiliated this man on that stage.
Right.
So I love the fact that you said, we got to give it up to Chris. Because everybody is focused on the Will side of things. What made Will do it? All of that. But truth of the matter is, Chris Rock is a professional personified. That is what a professional looks like, how a professional moves. He kept that show going.
He kept it going. And believe me, under those circumstances, not too many could have. I know I couldn't just got the shit slapped out of me by a man and just would have stood up there like that. And he had his hands in his pocket. So, big up to Chris Rock. I think Chris Rock is like I said, we ain't heard the last of it from Chris Rock. I don't think he's going to attack. People got to understand, this is how Tupac got killed. When you think about it. It was at an event. They seen somebody that supposedly took a chain. They jumped him. Then later on, Pac got shot up in a car. That shit could have happened to Will Smith. Let's say Chris Rock, you know what I'm saying? That's why
Chris Rock,
that's why people
he's a comedian, but he's from Brooklyn. Like, right, let's not get this twisted.
And people would understand. That's why when I hear people saying especially women, he deserved it and he should have, I'm like, now what if Will left going to the party and then Will Smith's car got shot up in like Tupac's? Then everybody's mourning and going crazy and you know what I'm saying? Like, no, it shouldn't have happened. Will should have held some constraint, you know what I'm saying, and some professionalism. And then if it was that bad, bring your wife and check him backstage. If it was that bad.
Okay. Talking about holding some professionalism, Will, he finally gets that golden statue. He been wanting that for 20 plus years. This was his night. It was he didn't know he was going to get best leading man, but he got it. Then he goes up on stage. He accepts the award. The crowd, which I cannot understand for the life of me, stands up, gives him a standing ovation. He cries. He apologized to the Academy, to the fellow nominees, and never said a word about the man he just smacked.
The black man he just smacked.
The black man he just smacked. Never said a word. We all trying to reconcile this thing, and I'm a huge fan of Will Smith's. I'm just so disappointed in his behavior that night. But to his credit, he came back a day later and he put out this statement where he apologized. Chris Rock still hasn't commented on it. I mean, I don't know. If a man
I see Chris Rock coming back with a comedy show roasting the shit out of both of them.
Well, Chris Rock, I mean, his stock just went through the roof. Let's not get it twisted. I mean, he had a show in I think it was Boston or something. Tickets went from $42. There you go, your backyard. Tickets went from like $42 and jumped up to close to $1,000 per seat overnight.
Damn. Who the hell's gonna be going to that? Shit.
People wanted to see. People want to know
what. But $1,000, my Lord, man, you better be giving out food, weed, bottles, and everything at that motherfucker. I better have tables. Girls with tight shorts bringing my bottles and everything for $1,000, man. What the fuck?
Nah, I mean, right now his stock went through the roof for so many different reasons. And more than anything, comedians, they're artists. And artists need motivation. They need something to write their material. He just got a year's worth of material out of that one.
He's getting ready to
smack.
Chris, if Jada Pinkett thought that was bad, they better prepare themselves for what's coming. I really believe that.
Honestly. Oh no, he's inspired.
Yeah.
He's inspired. Okay, so a lot of people are comparing this to the Source Awards, something you know a whole lot about.
Source Awards, I love a hip-hop reunion. I'm telling you, man. I'm the perfect guy for this, trust me.
You the perfect guy for it. I couldn't wait for us to talk. People like, yo, my God, this is the Oscars, the Academy Awards is turning into the Source Awards. Yo, is it true?
That.
Sticky Fingaz? It's real talk. Like everybody is trending.
I like that.
Sticky Fingaz, did he actually bust shots on stage at the Source Awards?
Yeah. Yep.
That's real?
Yeah. Yeah.
You got to be kidding me.
Yeah, that was one of the first ones, yeah. Pop, 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 pop. I think he had like a little 3-2 or something, a little 32. You know what's so crazy? That Onyx just posted their classic cover on the way over here, and I commented on it just now. You know what I'm saying? Because
that back the F up? The back the F up?
Yeah. No, the one where it was on the cover, there was the three of them, and rest in peace. What was the
Oh, got it. Yep.
Okay,
yep.
Yeah, but
I forget the third one's name.
Yes, they just posted it on their page, Onyx. So, yeah, man, he had busted in the air. He had a little 3-2, pop, 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 pop. You know what I'm saying? It was right on stage. It was at the Paramount. It was inside Madison Square Garden. They have a theater inside there. That's like a smaller theater for smaller events. So that's what we gave it that and yeah, he popped off in the air. Pop, pop, pop.
Yeah, nah, the Source Awards had a lot of, let's just call it, memorable nights.
That was one of them.
Suge Knight with his iconic Come to Death Row speech. To your knowledge, did anybody ever get assaulted either on stage or off stage that people don't know about?
I remember E40 and his people beat the shit out of somebody. I don't know who it was. Because I remember this was the one in LA, and I was in the back for some reason. I was like towards the back, and I just remember it was 40, and I think his brother or his man, they were big, and they was beating the shit out of somebody.
Damn.
You know what I'm saying? Yeah. I can't recall anything on stage that happened. So in that sense, shit, we was better than the Oscars. How about that? Yeah, at least I could say that nobody got the shit slapped out of him at the Source Award. Now, shit might have took place outside, but on the inside, we hired the Nation of Islam security. Shout out to the minister.
Smart.
Shout out to Captain Dennis Leonard Muhammad. We always hired the Nation of Islam security, and they would be the ushers and security, and it was always like a kind of respect, But, and then, one thing people got to understand when you're doing these shows, and that's why people say, oh, we're going to do the Source Awards again. And that. If you don't have people that are like respected, like myself, as far as in the streets, because a lot of that gets diffused, A lot of my job is to diffuse situations backstage, and to diffuse, like when Pac ran up and snatched the mic from Q-Tip.
Mm-hmm.
Now, if Q-Tip would have been like trying to, then it could have went bad. Rest in peace, Chris Lighty. I remember they came backstage and they was pissed about that. Pac took over the sound man, had his guys kind of take the sound man, put that shit in, kind of hold him hostage for like 10 minutes. Poor guy. And, but to be honest, it was one of the dopest performances I've ever seen because it was just so spontaneous. He wasn't slated to perform. And he came in there with the Outlaws, rest in peace, Fatal, Gaddafi. And they did Out on Bail and it was crazy. Man,
Damn.
Rest in peace, Gaddafi, Fatal, and Big Psych.
Yep, all gone.
Man, Yeah,
all
rest in
gone.
peace, the Outlaws. But they was all on stage with him. So that was an iconic moment, but nobody's ever got physically roughed up on stage at the Source Awards. So let's make that clear, ladies and gentlemen. When we talk about the Source Awards, y'all better talk about the Oscars now. All right, I don't want to hear no shit about that no more. Yeah, the Oscars, where's y'all security at? Y'all just let this man walk. He walked up there too.
Walked back.
And walked back.
And sat down.
And said, keep my wife's name out your fucking mouth. Iconic, yo.
Yo, iconic. I mean, here's the craziest part, right? This slap is going to be talked about long after both of them individuals is dead or gone. Like, this was a moment of moments on the biggest stage ever. But
I read somewhere that, I forgot her name, Amy Schumer. She said she's
traumatized. She's experiencing trauma.
I'm like, mama, listen, if that traumatized you, then stay out the hoods of America. That was a breakfast in the park when it comes to us. Traumatized? That wasn't shit.
Nah, but you got to remember, man. I mean, Chris Rock put her on. She's huge, and Chris Rock is the one who gave her a start. Like, literally,
I didn't know that. I didn't know that. Yeah, I didn't know that.
Yeah, Chris Rock. I don't know if he found her, but he is the one who produced that stand-up comedy that she did that really blew her up. So for her, Chris Rock is the big brother. Like she has genuine love.
I didn't know that.
And she watched this man get assaulted on stage.
Yeah, I got you. It makes sense now. Yeah, I got you.
So it's a little different. Yeah,
I got you. I mean, let me ask you a question. You think that he'll be because usually the guy that wins Best Actor goes and then gives out the award for Best Actress the next year. You think that the Oscars will have him do that?
Okay.
It's gonna be at Caesar's Palace betting, so 20-1.
2016, Jada, the whole, what started this whole thing between her and Chris, or we're speculating because he made that joke back in the days where she was, frontlining people saying boycott the Oscars. That's definitely gonna be next year.
I got you.
Because Will not be invited back.
Yeah.
So she might as well start that petition right now, boycott the Oscars, because Will is not coming back.
You really think so?
He will be. No, Will's gonna be. He's gonna be on sit down. Will got time out for the next few years from the Oscars, and let's just keep it 100. I don't care if Will Smith stars in Romeo and Juliet, Macbeth, and in every other classic shit. Like, he will never see another Oscar day in his life. So enjoy that one. I don't think so. I really don't, because that Academy. See, now they're under pressure. It's not just because they didn't react the right way. They put out a statement. They trying to go hard on them now, talking about, we asked him to leave and he refused.
Oh,
Will's like, y'all never asked me to leave.
Oh, man.
Y'all didn't ask me to leave. So they got to make an example.
Yeah, if they putting that out, then man, his goose is in the water, boiling right now.
Yeah. And this can't happen again. And to keep it, and I don't want to take them off the hook, the Academy, but who knew how to react in that moment? This man is about to win the biggest award of the
his
night.
Life.
15, not just of his life, but of the night. The leading man award outside of Best Picture, that's the biggest you're gonna get.
Well,
so for them, what are they gonna do?
Leading actress is kind of big too.
I don't know if it's as big as leading man. It might be. But be it as it may, they knew, what do we do now? Like, what do we do? So
I know they was like this.
I think that they gonna make.
Everybody was, all the Academy was like this.
Yeah, I mean, you got a lot of stars speaking out. I think come for the, he's gonna have to put on one hell of a performance to ever even get nominated again. That's just my thoughts, though. All right, let's talk about Ray Benzino.
Hold on, let me take my jacket off. You know how we do. I just want to, I don't know if you noticed the jacket with the first Source magazine on the back.
Nah, you catch that. Nice.
I had to come in here. My guys at Yes Danil co-blessed me. I went and hosted a fashion show, so yeah, they hooked it up, man. They put the first Source cover, and then you open it. That's the Hip Hop Weekly cover, and then they got the cassette of my Motown. You know what I'm saying?
That's kind of dope, son.
Yeah, I want to thank the guys. The one thing that they kind of messed up on was they put Harvard here, and I said, no, I didn't go to Harvard, but I'm from Four Corners, and Four Corners was Harvard Street in Washington. So that there would be Dave Mays.
Okay, let's switch topics. I want to talk specifically about you, Ray Benzino.
Me?
Because you're having a very eventful year, my brother. I'm
trying to think if it's for the right things or not. Like,
we're at the top of April, and you definitely making your rounds, brother. So let's start with, you go on Clubhouse, and you leak the news that Coi and Nicki got a collab. Like, number one, what happened? And number two, once you leaked that news, was you like, damn?
Man, listen, I'm having regular conversation with people, and somebody messaged you must be so proud of your daughter. I said, of course I am. I was like, hell yeah, she's coming out with an album. I can't wait. And then I was like, she has a bunch of stars on there. She did a track with, just how I said it. She did a track with Nicki Minaj. And as soon as I said that, it was like, oh my God, And then a couple of them said Nicki wouldn't do no track with her. And I was like, yeah, she has a track with Nicki Minaj. And I didn't know, man, maybe this is my age is showing, you know what I'm saying? I didn't know how, like, that was gonna be on the Shade Room and that was gonna be big news. I mean, people really, nowadays, man, you can't shit the wrong way without somebody making it a headline. At least I can't. I gotta make sure all bathrooms are all doors are closed, because Benzino shit the wrong way. You know what I'm saying? Like, come on, because, Prez, come on, man. All I said was, and then the call I got from Coi, she was very upset. And our relationship is, like, we're trying to get it right. So it was like, damn, once again, here we go. She was mad. And then when Nicki put the statement out, it was like, oh man. So now, I'm getting the brunt of, you lied, Nicki never did a song with her, And I'm like, the Shade Room posted it about 9 times. And I'm like, was it really this serious?
Nah, but what you don't realize is you have become one of those figures in hip hop where you're very honest, you're very upfront, and when you say stuff, people are looking for, how can I turn this into a headline? Because you're known to make these brutally honest statements. So even in that case, it was, you just answering a question, but it was news that nobody knew. And because it came out your mouth and they know the history between you and Coi, we can run with this.
Yeah, it was.
You just turned yourself into one of them guys.
That's one thing about me, Prez, I'm be honest, man. The whole thing with this celebrity thing, like, I don't buy into it, man. Like, I know where I'm from and where I came from, and it's hard for me to be this celebrity when I'm around people. You know, I get so much love, and the love be genuine. It's not like, oh my God, it's like when they see me, it's almost like I'm a part of their family. And man, you know, that alone for me is just a blessing from God because of everything I went through. You know, to still get that type of love is just amazing to me, and I appreciate it. I never want people to think that I'm better than them or I think I'm better than them. So I don't run around, I'm Benzino, and I just don't do it. So maybe sometimes when I'm talking to people, I'm talking to them just like I'm a regular guy. And maybe you're right,
As you should.
And maybe you're right. Maybe I should take in consideration more of who I am and think before I talk. But I didn't mean no harm. And I was just proud of my daughter, just trying to hopefully make her proud of me that I'm proud of her because of all the shit that's going on, you know, of our past situations that's been on the internet. I didn't mean no harm, but you know, when Nicki came back and they did it and the song came out and the video came out, then everybody's like, oh, Benzino was right. We owe you an apology. We owe you. Even when they were saying that, I mean, it was really positive stuff. I still didn't even take that. I was just like, man, there's so many things that are going wrong in this world that I don't pay attention too much to what people say. Even like doing this with you, to be honest, like the last time we did it, I've never got that much love. And I want to shout everybody out there in the comment section of Vlad because they've been pretty brutal towards me. You know, a lot of them, all the interviews I've done for Vlad in the past, the comment section, a lot of them, man, very disrespectful. But the last one I did with you, man, came out so dope. And man, it was like, wow, you know what I mean? I was so proud. I was finally proud that I didn't get no hate, man. You know what I'm saying? Because man, like I've gotten so much hate that I'm kind of already numb to it, but it still bothers me. Because
of course, you're human.
I feel like it's unwarranted at this point. You know, the Eminem beef and everything, which by the way, Prez, I tweeted out, I said the beef's over.
No, we're gonna get to that. Don't
Okay,
go,
cool.
don't go too far.
Yeah.
You know that's on
but
the agenda.
I just, to me, it was just, you know, I'm just tired, man. I'm older now, man. I realize I don't want anything that I say to hurt Coi or Ray Ray, Chavo and Taj, their careers, and Zeno. I want to make sure that there's no negativity towards them. And even though a lot of my stance on how I feel, I stick by it. But, you know, I don't want to think like I'm defeated, but I just have to be more mature and how I move now. And those are the steps I'm taking. That's how I'm living now, you know. I don't want anything, no blowback from anything that I do to affect my kids' careers.
You know, speaking of the differences between the generations, the song with Nicki Minaj and Coi did come out, top of the charts, blick. Shout to both of them.
Shout to Nicki Minaj too, because, you know, listen, Nicki's fan base is like, she has the most loyal fan base that probably the world will ever know. So just her
Huge
doing that
base.
for Coi is big, and I really appreciate that because she didn't have to do that, you know.
But I want to stick to the generational thing for a second, right? Because Nicki and Coi jumped on the IG live, and Coi was basically like, "Yo, I get hated on," and Nicki kind of came back and was like, "Yo, hated on, like y'all don't know what hate is." you like, I get that you think you're being hated on, but nobody ain't been more hated on than me. Like what y'all get, you know, is a tap on the butt. But what we get, or what in her case, she was like, what Nicki was saying, in my case, what I've gotten, you couldn't even handle that. Like the amount of hate that I endured. So I think it's cute that you think you're getting hated on because you get a couple of people disagreeing with you on social media, but it's a whole different thing. And I think that from a generational standpoint, the older generation is here to school you, here to not give you a handout, but a hand up. I just jumped on your song and I'm trying to educate you. What you're going through, this ain't hate. Like enjoy your moment. I know what real hate is, and you ain't stepped into that lane yet.
Right. No, that's real talk, and that's how I feel. But I know how the internet works. You get 100,000 loves, and you get 3 hates, and then you're only paying attention to them. So it's a mental thing. You got to block it out. You know, I look at it, I grew up in the time where the internet wasn't around. So whatever it was in front of my face. However I dealt with it in front of their face. If it's not there in front of my face, I've learned to ignore it now. I'm at the place now where that shit just doesn't even bother me anymore. It doesn't. It's smoke and mirrors. It's invisible. You know what I'm saying? You know, you gotta, one thing the internet did was make everybody have a voice, you know, to their opinions on everybody else. And I don't think God made the world to be that, because that's a lot of pressure to have millions of people looking at you and saying things good or bad. So I think, you know, we're only 10 years into the internet. I think as years go by, people will get used to it, and eventually all that dumb shit, the trolling and everything will stop, hopefully, you know.
You know, Ray, you raise a good point about the trolls. But truth of the matter is, we live in a society where we feel we got to put all of our personal business out there.
Yeah.
And that's what's giving the trolls the ammunition. They not just making stuff up out of nowhere.
Right.
People wake up and they blow their nose and they feel like they got to put it on social media.
Yeah, you know, I understand that, but then it's not necessarily just those moments. It's the moments where you're trying to share things. I mean, again, I grew up without it, so I could have died without it. You know, I could have went my whole life without the internet. And you know what I'm saying? So it's not, you know, I'm glad I grew up in a society that I don't need the internet as far as to,
well,
you know, I mean, it's something that these kids, it's part of their lifeline now. It's part of their, you know, without it, they're going to go crazy. But I've come to the point where I understand that the real world and real people and actual in-person moments are way better. You know, I think we're becoming a society of posers and pictures. And the vanity is at an all-time high. I think people really need to kind of like vacation themselves off of social media from time to time. And them shutting down my Instagram was probably the best thing that ever happened to me, to be honest. Yeah. You know, mentally I'm a lot better. It's something about the internet that it's hard to explain, but it does change your life, especially from somebody that came up without it. These kids don't know that. They only know the internet. So, but I feel like my life has been better without my 1 million followers and all the trolling and all the bullshit. I feel like I'm a lot more calm and peaceful.
Okay, let me tap into the father side of you. Before I leave Coi. She recently revealed that she hooked up with a woman and she realizes she ain't gay. Thoughts? We gonna leave that alone.
I didn't even know that. You know what I'm saying? I didn't even know that. But you know,
yo, you was looking at me like, word? Like, like, huh?
Yeah, man, you do your homework, Prez, because I didn't know that shit. You know, that might be good for the LGBTQ and the straight community as a whole to understand that what is being gay. You know, here's a situation where she said that she thought she was, and she hooked up with a woman and said, nah, it wasn't for me. So I think that alone, that message alone, because you've never really heard that before. You know what I'm saying? I want to give Coi her props for putting that out there, because that is a message that needs to go out there. You know, a lot of, you know, people are confused, Prez. You know what I'm saying? People are confused, you know, and, you know, when I grew up in Boston in Four Corners, Prez, I didn't grow up around people who were gay. I rarely seen it. To be brutally honest, I rarely seen anybody that was gay. I really, you know. So the whole gay thing is not like it's new. It's been around, you know what I'm saying? But, you know, I've been more tolerant to the point of it. I mean, listen, the LGBTQ are here. They're part of our society. You know, they have great people with them. I'm sure they have assholes with them, just like straight people. And I think the biggest thing is, how does somebody become gay? And I don't even want to touch that. I can't even go there.
Yeah, don't even touch that one, bro.
But Coi making that statement, you know, kind of gives a little clarity to the situation. you know, for her to say that, she might have thought a certain way, and you think of yourself, well, why did she think that? Because there was nobody gay in our family for her to grow up around to take on, to be gay. So, however she was thinking that she was gay, she came to the conclusion, something in her said, I'm not. This ain't for me. And I think we need to take that into consideration, and the people out there who might be going through the same thing, wrestling if they're straight or gay. I think that's something that, you know, we need to have more conversations about, because, you know, we want to all be on this earth in unity, you know, and everybody has to respect everybody else's choices, you know. So, yeah, you know, well, I'm glad she figured it out. You know what I'm saying? I'm glad she figured
Good
it out.
for her.
Yep.
Good for her. Okay, I want to talk again. I told you this has been an eventful year for Ray Benzino.
Woo. Leave it up
Breathe
to Prez,
in.
boy. that shit came, man. Wow, I didn't know that, man. That's okay.
Okay. All right. So like I said, this has been an eventful year for you. About a month or so ago, you said, and I think you were speaking to all the Eminem fans. I told you we was gonna come back into this. You said, yo, I'll say it to his face, but he's scared, but he's a scared coward pussy like his fan base. Ben left this alone, but since the coward stands want to talk ish and hide, then it's still F Eminem. And you very direct about that. And if you got a problem with it, I know how to fight and I got big sticks. So pull up. Yo, where that come? What do you do? Just wake up
Prez,
and read social media and just go blink, like go on red?
That Eminem's fans are probably the most trying to find the right word. I mean, they're probably the most disrespectful fans, but disrespectful in a way that they love their artists. And you know what? I understand. They come at me with stuff that you couldn't imagine. It's been for years. I mean, years. And when you come up the way I come up, you just don't take disrespect lightly. And I try to find ways to ignore it. But the only way that I think that I could put this to an end, and again, so it doesn't mess up my kids' careers or have anything to do with it, is if I just say what I probably should have said a while ago. I mean, Eminem is a part of hip hop. Eminem is a dope artist, and, you know, he is a part of hip hop. Regardless of what he might have said or done, people change. Who am I, you know, who am I to judge? And I felt like, you know, if I put the olive branch out there, then all this disrespect over the internet, because listen, Prez, I walk around this world, airports everywhere with no security. I never had security. And a lot of times I go through my walkthroughs by myself, my hostings and shit. I don't worry about, I've never got this type of disrespect in person. It's never happened. I mean, never. Nobody's ever been like, yo, Eminem, or, you know, fuck you. Or, it's never happened. So, you know, the motivation was definitely Coi, because the album was dropping. After I did put that out there, you know, she was like, Dad, it's hard for me to have you around me because, you know, these same white people are coming to my shows and they support me. When I was telling her, I'm like, I don't know if they're the same white people. I don't know if Eminem's fans are your fans. And I'm trying to explain it to her. I don't know you have to be worried about that. But if that's what you're saying, then I'm going to correct it. I'm going to correct it. If you feel that me saying that is hurting you, then I'm going to correct it. And that's when I put out the other tweet. You got the other tweet?
Yeah, yeah. And that's what I was about to say. You put out, and I almost couldn't believe it when you did it, because in all of these years, I never, and you just put me up on something. I didn't know Coi was your motivation, but in all of these years, you stood your ground on the subject. On March 17th, you put out, fans and stand all around the world, the beef is officially over. I'm letting y'all know I have no hate toward any of his fans and recognize his contributions to hip hop. He's truly a part of the culture, and one of the best to rock the mic regardless of his color. I was going to ask you what made you do that, but you already answered that question. I didn't realize Coi was your motivation.
Yeah. I mean, it was time, you know. It's just not good for my spirit, man, to be like, because that shit roused me up. You know, the disrespectful shit that they tweet and they send out. And, you know, like I told you, I'm trying to be, you know, my Twitter's still up, but my Instagram's down. So now all the hate comes through Twitter. Yeah, so I'm trying to really, I feel like, you know, I had to really like, I mean, it's not like I never liked in Eminem songs, man. I like a bunch of his songs. It's not, and it's not like he's disrespecting me. It's his fans, man. His fans are the worst, bro. And I don't mean, again, I don't want to say this to rile them back up, but when it comes to defending him, I mean, you know, they're disrespectful. And see, my thing is this, like, what people got to realize, and even in the Vlad, even you commenters in the Vlad, I'm talking to y'all. The shit that y'all put, the horrible shit that y'all say, all the tough shit, I know y'all wouldn't say it to me in person. So I'm talking to these commenters now. I know that. And to me, you know, love your artists who you love. But when you talking about disrespecting somebody, those are fighting words, man. That's when physical violence, and that's what I'm trying to stand away from. Staying away from that shit that Will and Chris Rock went through. You know what I mean? Like, I don't like that shit. But it's like, damn, man, I've lived this long, to 56 years old, will be 57 in July, and, you know, I've been able to protect my manhood, man. In the streets, if you run from fights, if you run from disrespect, if you turn your back on somebody disrespecting you, then that's it. You're finished. You're done. You're done. You know what I mean? And that's how I grew up. That's what my father passed down to me. That's what all my guys that I grew up around with, they all held that dear. And I held that dear to me, but there comes a time where, man, you're just tired of it, man. I felt like I did some real, you know, everything I said was true. He is a part of hip hop culture. You know, he is one of the best to ever rock the mic. He's very lyrically talented. And if that's what his fans needed to hear, so that they can leave me alone, then so be it. Because now, I guess when they heard that from me, hopefully they realize, hey, look, hip hop brings black and white people together. So let's stay on that. And however, because this is like 15 years, Prez. I mean, damn, I've still never met this guy. Me and M's never met. We've never.
Hold up. You've never face to face physically met this man?
Ever met. I remember we was in Puerto Rico, and I was with a bunch of guys in Puerto Rico. Shout out to La Perla, Big West, and we approached his DJ, kind of surrounded him, because he was performing out there. It's the last time I seen Jam Master Jay too. God rest Jam Master Jay. It was like some type of DJ conference, and he was performing. Me and 50 actually took a picture there. This is when 50 just got signed to him. So me and Fifth took a picture. I'll never forget it. And then I ended up seeing DJ Green Lantern. And that was his DJ. And we, you know, a lot of people don't know that. You know, we surrounded him, me and my guys, and made him real uncomfortable that day. That was the closest, but I've never ever met Eminem. And even with the Royce thing, you know, Royce said some pretty nasty things about my daughter, and I'm hoping that he finds it within himself to apologize. Because if he doesn't, when I see him, we're gonna have a man-to-man, a real man-to-man. because I believe what he said was not warranted. So I hope he sees me being a bigger man and he can be a bigger man and apologize for the shit that he said, to Coi, because, I took that serious, and I've been in Detroit a few times and hosted a few events. I'll be there 420, matter of fact. So, hopefully we can get a face-to-face and, it'll be in his best interest to apologize, because that's my daughter regardless,
Understood. And shout to the homie Green Lantern. I'm glad.
Yeah, shout to Green Lantern. That was
that's
in the
my
past.
brothers. Yo, shout to
that was in
Green.
the past. Like I said, listen, casualties of war. You know what I'm saying, Prez? Didn't know physical violence happen, but we made him feel.
Okay, good, because Green is a good dude. Always been a good dude.
It could have went down. Jewelry could have been stripped. It could have really went down. You know what I'm saying? Because I'm, my family from Puerto Rico, so I was, So, but I look back at it now, and it's all, it's all unnecessary.
Before I get off the topic of Ray Benzino, video come out 2 weeks ago. You wilding out at the cops in a Red Roof Inn. What the?
So it was 5 years.
Like you trying to do better.
It happened 5 years ago. That was 5 years ago.
Stop lying.
That was 5 years ago.
Are you serious?
5 years ago. You didn't see my Dominican baseball cut? I don't got that no more. You know what I'm saying? I had the Dominican designated hitter cut back then. Yeah, man, that was 5 years ago. And my child's mother had just took Zeno. He was 1 year old, just moved him out of, we broke up. She just ran to California, took my son out there. I ran out there trying to figure it out and try to reconcile with her. It didn't happen. I had to come back to Atlanta. I didn't have a place to stay. My money was low. Didn't have a car. Cavario, who's a friend of mine over 20 years, worked at The Source, worked at Hip Hop Weekly, used to write for Don Diva and own it. One of my dear friends, one of the smartest guys from the streets I've ever met. And he picked me up because he had lived in, at the time, I guess he lived in South Carolina with his wife. Picked me up and how can I put this? Because see, I don't want to jeopardize Cavario in any way, but I came from Cali. I didn't have too much money. I had to do my thing, Prez. I had to get back in the streets.
I mean, you don't even have to go. You don't even have to get no deeper into it. Let's leave it there.
Yeah,
we get it.
The disappointed thing is oh man, what's he doing? What's he doing in the hotel with another man? And we done slept. I remember on tour, we done slept in motels 4 deep, head to foot. People have this thing where everything has to be a gay topic. So I think that I didn't pay attention to it. But, people try to, say mean shit or whatever. But, I found it not just funny, but just ridiculous that we're at a stage now in life that if you're in a hotel room with a man that you have to be gay. You know what I'm saying? Yeah, shout out to all the gay people around the world, but Zeno's not in the club.
I want to get your feelings on something. Speaking of disrespect, right? We all know what's been going on with Kim and Kanye. Pete Davidson finally had enough. I'm sure you're familiar with this. He put a picture out in Kim's bed and tagged your man Kanye West in it. Did Kanye deserve that?
Man, listen.
Did he have it coming?
I just hope that
or was
Pete's
Pete just out of line?
I hope Pete's about that life. Look, it's easy to do shit on the internet because you figure you don't have to run into each other. He's going to have to run into Ye. Ye from Chicago. Ye ain't going for that. You didn't have to tag him. I realize Kanye said a few things about Pete, but Pete, you better be about that life. Because if you ain't, it's going to be bad for you. That's how I feel. You know what I'm saying? Yeah, that, I didn't know he tagged him.
Yeah.
Yeah.
He wanted him to see it.
Yeah, the tag, he would have seen it anyways. The tagging is where the disrespect is. The tagging is like, oh, you want beef? Okay, all right, shit. You know, Pete, you know, you got some balls, you got some cojones. I hope, see, balls and cojones on the internet is different from balls and cojones in person. And that's what people gotta separate. You know, you can move around. You know why God made space? To get the fuck away from everybody when you want to. But when you run into somebody and it's not the internet, you're gonna be in person with them. And you know, you're gonna have to repent for your sins. You know what I'm saying? Yeah.
Yeah, what you say, you gotta repent?
I don't see Ye going for that. I just don't see him going for that. I see him seeing Pete and I see him wilding out. I know I would.
But check it out.
I probably
You
would.
said your man
Again, I'm trying to be better, but that's a situation where somebody's tagging me in my ex's bed. Yeah. Those are fighting
Yo,
words.
Z, we know if you was tagged, we understand it'd be a whole different
Yeah, like you could be
circumstance.
in the bed with my ex, but you ain't gonna tag me. What the fuck you tagging me for? Why are you tagging me? That's a direct violation of the street code. You know what I'm saying? Kanye from Chicago, man, he ain't going for that. And he probably still want to be with Kim, man.
Well, you know he still want to be with her. I mean, he made that clear. I want to talk about Kanye still being from Chicago because people forget that. Like, your man DL Hughley, he did an interview on Vlad, shout to Vlad TV. Vlad, what up? DL, what up? And DL called Kanye a stalker.
I think that I've watched too many times where things like that happen and a woman or somebody's not believed and then things escalate.
Yeah.
He is stalking her. You could think it's cute. If it was my daughter, I'd do something about it. I don't think it's funny. I think that you can't write a beat so good that you get to do these things. And society laughs it off because they say, well, she showed her ass all the time and he's this and he's that and it's that. At a certain point, it is not unusual for men like that. The only difference between him and a restraining order is about 20 hits and a couple of $100 million. I just don't think it's funny.
Kanye came back and said, yo, I can get you hurt, DL. Like, be real clear. I can get you hurt. And pointed out that DL lives near him in Calabasas. So
Millionaires.
I don't know.
Millionaires fighting, boy. My goodness. Calabasas will never be the same.
Well, the Oscars will never be the same.
It's just, man, you know, DL he's a blog, I mean, I guess he's a host of a show. Kanye knows, man, he's gonna get judged, man. This is how it is, man. You know, stalker, I don't think that's not as bad as Pete tagging him in his wife's bed. I'm sorry. Calling him a stalker, that's his opinion. You know what I'm saying? I don't think he doesn't need to get beat up for that, or, you know, I don't, you know.
Yo, you familiar with Theophilus London?
It's a hell of a name.
Yeah, damn sure is. But yo, I think he run with Kanye in some way. I don't know if he's a writer, producer, whatever. Maybe he's one of his artists. He approached DL at Noble in a Noble bathroom. You familiar with that?
Of course.
And he put, and again, it's this internet, this social media. I don't really understand it. But supposedly he pressed DL in a Noble bathroom and put it up on the internet. I don't know if he was clout chasing. I don't know what that
Noble
was
will
about.
never be the
Just
same.
showing.
It's too much, man. It's too much, man. I don't know, man. You know, I've never met DL Hughley, so I can't, you know what I'm saying? But
I like DL. DL be dropping some real stuff, man.
well, I mean, listen,
he's blunt.
listen, Prez, like you know, I mean, like me, if we're sitting here talking about people, you have to be prepared for what comes with it. You know, the good, the bad, and the ugly. You know, calling Kanye a stalker, Kanye took offense to it. You know, he took offense, so, you know, DL's gonna have to deal with that. You know, when you're in these positions and talking about people, you have to deal with it, with whatever comes with it. You know what I'm saying? You know, you're gonna, you know, in DL's case, I don't know his street cred or his street thing, but I'm sure he got security. I'm sure he got people around him, you know. He's making enough money. You know what I'm saying? So
Nah, he making good money. He's doing his thing. And
I don't like.
to
I just
DL's
don't like
credit,
to see it, man. I don't. Again, another period of time, we got two big guys of our culture, man. They going at it, man.
going at it. Okay, I'm gonna stay with Kanye for a second.
Yeah, and listen.
He
All
was
I do is wear
supposed-
Adidas and Yeezys. By the way, Kanye, I'm looking for. I actually want to be a. I actually want to plug myself for a job at Yeezy. I've been wearing Adidas for so many years, man. I wouldn't mind being a brand advisor to Yeezy. So Kanye, if
So
you're
that's
listening,
a direct plug.
yeah, please plug it in, baby.
Okay. Yo, you know he was supposed to perform at this year's Grammys. They removed him.
That's bullshit. That's bullshit.
Hold on. I want to get your thoughts. Let me get the whole sentence
That's
out.
bullshit.
They removed him, but the Godfather himself, Jay Prince, I mean, he had a simple solution to the matter. Yo, artists like Drake and Kanye need to create an award show to rival the Grammys on the same night and show them where the power really lies. So now go ahead and give your thoughts on number one.
Yeah, well, they need to come get me and Dave, man, and do the Source Awards over. Londell needs to, get off that. Man, I don't know why it's so hard for men to just, bury the hatchet, man. You know what I'm saying? Yeah, come on. The answer is we do the Source Awards again. Because that's why we made it in the first place, because the Grammys wasn't giving props. Fuck the Grammys. I never took the Grammys serious anyways. Because people would understand, the Grammys, you're looking at an award, but who are the people behind the Grammys who's making these decisions? When you look at these people, them people ain't us. Doesn't make them bad people, but they're just not us.
They're not hip hop.
So, that's what the Source Awards was for. And like I said, me and Dave, we were the guys that we had the right energy and it was the right connection to make it happen, man. And I think that's the solution. Shout out to Jay Prince. But I think the solution is to get me and Dave and Londell, because he owns the Source now, on the same page and bring back the Source Awards. That's a simple solution. And we would kill it. Honestly.
And do it the same night. The same night as the Grammys.
We would kill it. We would kill it, man. So shout out to Jay Prince. And I hope everybody's hearing this. But in order for that to happen, we got to bring that triangle offense. Londell, because he owns the Source now. And me and Dave, who owned it back then, who brought the awards. Because no disrespect to Londell, I just don't think that he'll be able to do it. Again, you have to have a certain amount of street respect. And you got to know these people that are coming from LA, from Texas, that was my job at the Source. My job was, going to all these cities and getting the relationships as a street guy and the respect, so that later on it's, because it could have been just business where people just buy ads and, you know what I'm saying? That's kind of how XXL was. And no disrespect to that. No, I have to keep saying no disrespect. But when I'm saying these things, it's just facts. XXL, they was just a place, that you just do business with. They were owned, XXL, people don't know, was owned by like Field and Stream magazine and Hunting magazines. The same people that put out those magazines put out XXL. So, they was just in it for the check. We was actually living this thing. And that's why the Source, and especially the Source before now, will always be revered. Because it was the right connections to bring that shit to fruition. And people don't, people always want to dog out the street guy. The street guy is, man, and I don't want to dog out the college guy. But when you can put them together, man, you can make amazing things happen. And that's what happened with me and Dave Mays.
It did. Switch topics for a second. Blac Chyna. She put out a post.
Yeah,
I think it was yesterday.
Yeah,
you seen it?
I seen it.
Blac Chyna said she's driving the narrative. She's getting ahead of this thing. She said, yo, I had to give up 3 of my cars because my baby fathers, Tiger, Rob Kardashian, ain't paying child support.
Well, shout out to Blac Chyna, shout out to Rob, and shout out to Tiger. For a man that's currently under child support right now, okay, I can.
Now you know a little bit about
I know
it.
a little bit about it. First of all, what women have to understand is that when you put a man under child support, it's a lot of strain and pressure that the women don't even put on them. Once you put him in the system, that system, I mean, really is really, against men. You know what I'm saying? As far as what I can say, And when I say that, it's because, when you're on child support, let's say you can't afford it. Should your license be taken away? Should your passport be taken away? How are you going to get to work? How can you get money to pay it? So I believe the child support system needs to be revamped, 100%. But in that case, I think Blac Chyna's approach was wrong. I don't think she said anything about she had to give up 3 cars, because that's not what you're getting child support for. The idea of child support is for the child. You know what I'm saying? That's what we have to, that's the number one thing what women have to understand. Child support isn't for your lifestyle. Child support is to make sure that the kids are clothed and they can eat and they have somewhere to stay. And it goes towards that. Now, I know it's based on whatever income that the men are making. So whatever their tax returns come in as, that's what they're making. So if they, if she's not getting what she thought they was making, then that's her problem. Because, I'm glad we're bringing this up, because women really believe that child support is for their lifestyle. Women believe child support is for them. No, child support is for the kid. And the last time I know, kids 6, 7, 8, 9 years old, they can't drive Porsches and Lamborghinis and everything. You know what I'm saying? They don't even got their license yet. So, big up to Blac Chyna, but I'm gonna have to be on, I'm gonna have to fuck with Rob and Tiger on this.
Yo, but want to hear something crazy though? And this is why I phrase it the way I phrase it. I said Blac Chyna is getting out ahead of this thing and driving the narrative, because Tiger and Rob responded.
I know.
And both of them was like, yo, I got my kid 5 days a week. I'm paying $40,000 for school and all expenses. So what the heck you need child support for?
For her 3 cars.
There you go. But them cars was going back anyway. She just need to get out ahead of it to make sure when the story got picked up.
They wasn't going if they was kicking in more money to her, because that's how she figured it out. She figured it out like, okay, I got Tiger and Rob, a Kardashian and an artist. I'm going to be all right. Shit, I'll take that one in blue. I'll take that one in fire red, and I'll take that one. And, not knowing that, everybody comes to a time where that window of getting jobs and getting checks, and it kind of closes on you. You know what I'm saying? And the only thing you have to kind of resort to is baby daddies and what they got. So,
Yeah, but I'm gonna tell you something, Ray.
Shout out to all the dads out there in their kids' lives, man.
We
really don't get enough credit,
this
bro.
is
We really
bigger,
don't, man. For real.
This is bigger than them. But I salute Tiger and I salute Rob Kardashian, because both of them said, yo, I got my kid 5 days a week. And for anybody who step up as a father and is willing to not just be a father on paper, not just be a father because you cut a check, but actually be a father. I got my kid 5 days a week. I gotta get them. I had a different kind of respect when they put them on, when they replied to her post.
Right.
Because I said, they don't, they could have easily just cut a check and said, it is what it is. But to fight for their kids and to have their kids 5 days
and fight for their honor.
For their
honor, man. That's the same thing with me and the Coi situation. Like, I take fathership serious. Like I've been in situations where each one of my baby's mothers, after giving them all that I've gave them, still put me on child support. And it was mainly because, when you're not with them no more, there's anger. It's not even necessarily they want to do it. They just want to do it to piss you off. So, you know, when that thing came out, me and Coi, it was disappointing because I was in hotel rooms crying at sometimes because I couldn't see my kids because of the court rulings and everything. Man, I take fatherhood serious. I love my kids dearly. So, you know, when that came out, it hurt me, man, because, man, shit, I spent time at every summer, every vacation, every Christmas, every Thanksgiving, my kids were with me. And I flew them in. You know, that's when I had that check. So it was nothing. Fly them all in. And they all staying with me. And I loved it. It's fun. It's dope. And that void is filled. Because it's gone. Like, even with Zeno now, man, like, I get him, man. We spend days. I'm having the whole April vacation coming up. But when he leaves, man, something leaves from me. It does. A part of me, man, when Zeno leaves, when I bring him to school and he walks off down that hallway, man, it's like, I'm sad, bro. I'm sad.
As you should be. That's your son. That's your seed.
But,
That's
you know,
your blood.
I mean, I take some of the responsibility because I'm not with the mother. I mean, you know, I haven't been able to live with any of my kids because each one of my baby's mothers, we ended up breaking up. But I regret that, bro. If I have any regrets in life, that's my biggest regret, that I wasn't living with them, that I couldn't see them come home every day. I couldn't see them, I couldn't hug them every day. I regret that. When I go, my biggest regret in life will be that. Because, man, that's a void, bro. I love my kids to death, man. I love being around them. I love taking care of them. I love being there for them. And, man, when that's not there, you know, you gotta man up. You know what I'm saying? You gotta wipe the tears, man, and you gotta talk to the man upstairs, a couple of flights up, and you know, you gotta thug it out. You know what I'm saying? It's not easy. That's what I'm saying. People don't really know know what we go through because men don't want to wear that weakness on them, on their sleeve. You know, but that's my kryptonite. You know what I'm saying? Is courts and my kids. Not able to see my kids, not able to have them. It's not good.
No, I think it's like that for a lot more men than the courts give credit. You know, the courts, it's designed to make sure a man pays that child support by any means necessary because they don't want that onus on the state. They don't want it on the city. And they'll demonize, vilify, make the man look like a deadbeat.
It's bad.
But there's a lot more men out there like yourself that, yo, I'm a father. I'm a real father.
Yeah, and I love my kids. So that narrative is, throw that shit out the window when it comes to me.
Switch topics for a second. Blac Chyna. She put out a post.
Yeah,
I think it was yesterday.
Yeah,
you seen it?
I seen it.
It's Blac Chyna said she's driving the narrative. She's getting ahead of this thing. She said, yo, I had to give up 3 of my cars because my baby fathers, Tiger, Rob Kardashian, ain't paying child support.
Well, shout out to Blac Chyna, shout out to Rob, and shout out to Tiger. For a man that's currently under child support right now, okay.
Now, you know a little bit about it.
I know a little bit about it. First of all, what women have to understand is that when you put a man under child support, it's a lot of strain and pressure that the women don't even put on him. Once you put him in the system, that system, I mean, really is really, against men. You know what I'm saying? As far as what I can say, And when I say that, it's because, when you're on child support, let's say you can't afford it. Should your license be taken away? Should your passport be taken away? How are you going to get to work? How can you get money to pay it? So I believe the child support system needs to be revamped, 100%. But in that case, I think Blac Chyna's approach was wrong. I don't think she said anything about she had to give up 3 cars, because that's not what you're getting child support for. The idea of child support is for the child. You know what I'm saying? That's what we have to, that's the number one thing what women have to understand. Child support isn't for your lifestyle. Child support is to make sure that the kids are clothed and they can eat and they have somewhere to stay. And it goes towards that. Now, I know it's based on whatever income that the men are making. So whatever their tax returns come in as, that's what they're making. So if they, you know, if she's not getting what she thought they was making, then that's her problem. Because, I mean, and I'm glad we're bringing this up because women really believe that child support is for their lifestyle. Women believe child support is for them. No, child support is for the kid. And the last time I know, kids 6, 7, 8, 9 years old, they can't drive Porsches and Lamborghinis. And, you know what I'm saying? They don't even got their license yet. So, big up to Blac Chyna, but I'm gonna have to be on. I'm gonna have to fuck with Rob and Tiger on this.
Yo, but want to hear something crazy though? And this is why I phrase it the way I phrase it. I said Blac Chyna is getting out ahead of this thing and driving the narrative because Tiger and Rob responded.
I know.
And both of them was like, yo, I got my kid 5 days a week. I'm paying $40,000 for school and all expenses. So what the heck you need child support for?
For her 3 cars.
There you go. But them cars was going back anyway. She just need to get out ahead of it to make sure when the story got picked up.
They wasn't going if they was kicking in more money to her. Because that's how
but
she
don't have a kid.
She figured it out like, okay, I got Tiger and Rob, Kardashian and an artist. I'm gonna be all right. Shit, I'll take that one in blue. I'll take that one in fire red, and I'll take that one. And not knowing that, everybody comes to a time where that window of getting jobs and getting checks, and it kind of closes on you. You know what I'm saying? And the only thing you have to kind of resort to is baby daddies and what they got. So,
yeah, but I'm gonna tell you something, Ray.
Shout out to all the dads out there in their kids' lives, man.
There you
really
go.
Don't get enough
and this
credit,
this
bro.
is
We really
bigger,
don't, man. For real.
This is bigger than them. But I salute Tiger and I salute Rob Kardashian because both of them said, yo, I got my kid 5 days a week. And for anybody who step up as a father and is willing to not just be a father on paper, not just be a father because you cut a check, but actually be a father. I got my kid 5 days a week. I gotta get them. I had a different kind of respect when they put them on, when they replied to her post.
Right.
Because I said, they don't, they could have easily just cut a check and said, it is what it is. But to fight for their kids and to have their kids 5 days a week.
Fight for their honor.
There you go.
Honor, man. That's the same thing with me and the Coi situation. Like, I take fathership serious. Like I've been in situations where each one of my baby's mothers, after giving them all that I've gave them, still put me on child support. And it was mainly because, when you're not with them no more, there's anger. It's not even necessarily they want to do it. They just want to do it to piss you off. So, when that thing came out, me and Coi, it was disappointing because I was in hotel rooms crying at sometimes because I couldn't see my kids because of the court rulings and everything. Man, I take fatherhood serious. I love my kids dearly. So, when that came out, it hurt me, man, because, man, shit, I spent time at every summer, every vacation, every Christmas, every Thanksgiving, my kids were with me. And I flew them in. That's when I had that check. So it was nothing. Fly them all in. And they all staying with me. And I loved it. It's fun. It's dope. And that void is filled. Because it's gone. Like, even with Zeno now, man, like, I get him, man. We spend days. I'm having the whole April vacation coming up. But when he leaves, man, something leaves from me. It does. A part of me, man, when Zeno leaves, when I bring him to school and he walks off down that hallway, man, it's like, I'm sad, bro. I'm sad.
As you should be. That's your son. That's your seed.
But
that's your blood.
I mean, I take some of the responsibility because I'm not with the mother. I mean, I haven't been able to live with any of my kids because each one of my baby's mothers, we ended up breaking up. But I regret that, bro. If I have any regrets in life, that's my biggest regret, that I wasn't living with them, that I couldn't see them come home every day. I couldn't see them, I couldn't hug them every day. I regret that. When I go, my biggest regret in life will be that. because man, that's a void, bro. I love my kids to death, man. I love being around them. I love taking care of them. I love being there for them. And man, when that's not there, you gotta man up. You know what I'm saying? You gotta wipe the tears, man, and you gotta talk to the man upstairs, a couple of flights up, and you know, you gotta thug it out. You know what I'm saying? It's not easy. That's what I'm saying. People don't
Nah,
really
it's not
know
easy.
people don't know what we go through because men don't want to wear that weakness on them, on their sleeve. But that's my kryptonite. You know what I'm saying? Is courts and my kids. Not able to see my
but I
kids,
think
not able to have them. It's not good.
No, I think it's like that for a lot more men than the courts give credit. The courts, it's designed to make sure a man pays that child support by any means necessary because they don't want that onus on the state. They don't want it on the city. And they'll demonize, vilify,
It's
make
bad.
the man look like a deadbeat.
It's bad.
But there's a lot more men out there like yourself that, I'm a father. I'm a real father.
Yeah, and I love my kids. So that narrative is throw that shit out the window when it comes to me.
Let me ask you something. Me and you talked about young Dolph last interview. R.I.P. to young Dolph and his entire
They'll play his
family.
music, man, almost every day.
The murder suspects, and we're gonna call them the alleged murder suspects. They made their second court appearance, and they still, we can't afford a lawyer. What you make of that? Like, they still, I don't know, if they did it. We're gonna say they allegedly that they did it, but neither one can afford a lawyer at this point.
Well, they're gonna have to get a public defender. I mean, that's easy. Shit. They're gonna have to get a public defender. Look, they're gonna have to deal with whatever comes at this point. Whether, again, allegedly. So,
and speaking of whatever comes, one of them was attacked in jail.
yeah.
So, what you think? You think it's going to be a difficult ride for them?
Of course it is,
locked
man.
up?
Of course it is. Of course it is. Dolph was revered. Dolph was loved. Even now, when you listen to his music, you really realize how great of an artist he was, and all the philanthropy work that he was doing with his hood. It's all coming out now that I didn't even know about when he was living. Like, you really realize how great of a man, father, talent he was, and it's just another example of our young men out here, because it's just not a loss with Dolph. Those two men got families too. It's a loss all the way around. And it's a loss for our culture and community. Every time a black man gets killed by a black man, it's a stain on our culture. And we got to do better.
Every time a black man gets smacked in the face in front of 60 million people,
we got to do better.
It's a stain on our culture. We got to do better.
We got to do better, man. And nobody's perfect. It's a rough ride out here. We understand that, but you just got to be cognizant of everything around you, man. And that's what I've been trying to do. That's why I'm trying to.
Let me ask you something. You as an OG, what you think about this statement by our fellow OG, Master P? He said he believes there's a lack of leadership, and that's the cause of many of these young rappers dying. Do you think that's the root cause of it?
Yeah, that's the obvious root. But it has to be acceptance for leadership. You can only lead people who want to be led. You can't make somebody who think they know it all, who think they got all the answers. It's hard to tap into that. It's like, okay, well, you got to find out the hard way. And it's sad, man, Prez, we got a whole generation that lives off of those type of conditions. They're not listening. And, I know P, I'm proud of his kids, and what I'm saying, him being a leader, myself being a leader, proud of my kids. None of my kids have a felony. I mean, that's big.
That's big. It's huge.
Yeah. So, Master P is definitely one one of the big names when it comes to entrepreneurship and as far as being a leader outside of just hip hop. So, he's right. He's right. But until this generation wants to accept leadership, it's going to be difficult to try to point them in the right direction. You have to listen, and you have to truly know that we're giving you the right advice so you don't have to go through the shit we went through. Because it seems like a lot of these kids are just like, they're thinking, their thought process they don't think ahead. They only live for now. They don't think of consequences, until it happens. And even when it happens, it's not like, this is what kind of rubs me the wrong way. When things happen with these kids, even when they go, they're not even really, they're looking at 2030. It's almost like when you look at their face, they don't even care. See, that's the part, like they're not even, it's like they don't even care. Like they don't even they're not sad. They're not, that's the part where to me, we know that there's a problem. Because even getting, there's guys, young kids locked up. My man just got locked up, my man Hops, and he was telling me he was in a unit. And he said he was in a unit with a bunch of kids on murder trials, 20, 21, up in Boston. He said, just a bunch of kids. So there's a real problem in our hood. And, I don't think people realize it, because another bad thing about social media is everyone's fresh and all the stuff and the polls and everything. You kind of forget of what's really happening out here. And we have real problems out here. And if they don't get addressed, it's only going to get worse for these kids.
You're absolutely right, man. And you said it. You was profound with it. You said that they gotta be willing to accept. They gotta be willing to accept that leadership.
Prez, I lived in Academy Homes Projects, and there was this place where all the older guys would meet. And my mother and father, my father was locked up, man. He was like, don't you stay away. I'd go every day, and I would sit on the ground, and I'd sit there for hours and just watch them. And they'd send me to the store, or they'd have me, but I would just watch them. You know what I'm saying? I couldn't wait to have conversation with them, or they said something to me. And then I'd ask questions. I came up in the street, but between my father and those guys, I wasn't, I knew of consequences before I would do it. That's the whole thing of taking advice from somebody older than you. It just makes common sense. It's nobody trying to tell you what to do. It's just that they've already been through the shit that you're getting ready to go through. So why not listen so you can understand the consequences? It's about the consequences that you don't want to go through. And that's what this younger generation, they have to be open more, and they have to stop. Again, it goes back to he's old, you're old, he's old. No, we've been through everything that you're about to go through. We know the consequences. Come get the consequences from us, if anything. So you're not looking at life in jail. You're not looking at getting shot up. Come know how to act out there, how to avoid things. Because remember, I said this is a big world. God made space. If you don't want to be involved in anything, man, you don't have to be involved in it. Learn how to maneuver through life without always confrontation or always have to be in the lane of problems. Because a lot of them it seems like they just don't know the consequences, or they're looking at I don't know what it is. I've never seen a generation so irresponsible in a lot of the things they do. Because I wasn't. I was still in the streets selling drugs, and I was getting into shootouts, but there still was I understood the consequences. And to where that I wasn't just getting into frivolous shit. If I got into problems, it was a problem because it was necessary. It was necessary to handle that way. Now, I wouldn't tell my kids to handle it that way, of course, but conflict resolution can be achieved without killing somebody, shooting somebody in violence. And I'm learning that more now as I'm getting older.
Agreed. Let me ask you, are you familiar with the artist Lotto?
Yes.
Okay.
Big Lotto. She lives down here in Atlanta.
There you go. Okay, so you know exactly what I'm talking about. She said she did a collab with a male artist. She didn't say his name. And she said he wouldn't clear the verse if she didn't go on a date with him. Have you ever seen instances like that in the music industry?
I'm sure that's happened. I mean, it's the music industry. Like, you know what I mean? It's, you know, it's unfortunate, but that's happened. That happens a lot. Nobody should be surprised.
Yeah.
At that, you know,
Yeah.
whether it's right or wrong, you know what I'm saying? I think of course it's wrong, but it happens. Of course. People are gonna do stuff for you, and women should know this. They're gonna do stuff for you because they want something in return. That's happening since cavemen back in the days. It's just what it is.
Mike Tyson.
Mike
Tyson. Yeah, Iron Mike.
Iron Mike. My hero.
In a comedy club. Tell me if you heard about this.
Yeah, I did.
Sitting down, watching a comedy show. It's a lot going on around comedy these days. Like,
it's not so funny anymore.
Exactly. Yo, a dude come up to Mike wielding a gun. Like, and I think he whispered in his ear something like, yo, I want to fight you. Pulled the gun out, and Mike didn't miss it. Like, he didn't even breathe hard. Mike, the Brownsville Iron Mike came out, just looking at homeboy, and then just start talking to him, and eventually gave the man a hug. I thought Mike handled that. Like, first and foremost, somebody pull out on you, at least you gonna do is flinch. Mike didn't even flinch.
No, I'd have been the same
way. Would you have given him a hug? Would you have given him the hug,
Yeah,
though?
because listen, mental illness is real right now. Mental health is real, bro. And what people got to realize, and I say this a lot, man, this internet shit is an energy and waves of energy that a lot of people just cannot handle. And whatever he was going through in his life, man, made him crash out that day. Because it could have been bad for him in a lot of different ways. And, you know, guns pulled out and everything, I don't flinch at that no more. It's happened too much. And, you know, Mike being Mike, you know what I'm saying? Mike understood. Mike understood, man. It's all about understanding. You know, Mike doesn't have to prove anything to anybody. He could have hooked off and broke his whole cranium. The gun would have been laying right there on the floor. You know what I'm saying? But Mike,
you got to give it to Mike.
But Mike understood. And that's just what it is, man. Mental health in our community it's probably at an all-time high, man. You know, and as far as being in a negative light. And man, I'm just glad, you know, nobody got hurt. The guy didn't get locked up, and, you know, shit, they hugged each other and it was love. A lot of times people just want your attention. He probably was the biggest Mike Tyson fan on earth. Just wanted Mike's love.
Yeah.
Just a lot of people don't know how to like, they want love, but they feel like when they ask for it, he probably needed a hug. But just asking for it, he feels like he's showing weakness. So, you know, Mike understands that. I understand that. You know, he wanted attention, he wanted love. We don't know what the hell he's going through in his personal life. And, you know, I'm just glad he handled it the way he handled it and everything turned out all right.
Definitely. I think he handled it classy. And, you know, he just showed that he understood, even in the midst of what some would look at as, yo, this is a dangerous situation. He saw a broken man.
Yes.
He saw somebody who was in hurt.
Yes.
And you got to respect Mike for that. Talking about artists and the dudes who put them on, let's just call it that. Bow Wow. He recently came out. Yeah, shout to Bow Wow.
Shout to the Game, because I see where you're going with it. Game did the same thing.
Yeah, but Bow said, yo, and we gonna get the Game. He said, yo, me and JD never had no work chemistry. He actually credits Snoop Dogg for making him who he is. Now, as you know, JD is behind some of Bow Wow's biggest hits. So I hope me and you on the same page with this one, because
yeah,
I'm
no.
like,
I mean, you know.
And shout to Jermaine, like that brother always been a damn good brother.
Look,
I know this one had to hurt.
People get frustrated as they get older. And, Bow Wow saying that was just frustration because everybody knows different. And I'm sure deep down inside he knows different. But it's something that's going on probably between whatever it is internally between him and Jermaine that he felt like he had to say that. And, that it's unfortunate, but, Snoop just got death row, so maybe Bow Wow wants a deal on death row. I'm sure Snoop was a huge influence on Bow Wow's career because Snoop being the big personality that he is. But, Snoop is still active. Necessarily, Jermaine's kind of sitting back, playing the back right now. Whatever he's doing. I'm sure he's doing, stuff big still, but he's just not in the forefront. So I'm sure, that kind of plays a part of it. So I think it was just out of frustration. The same thing with Game. I'm sure that there's frustration in there. It's just a frustrated situation. Probably Game not performing at the Super Bowl. He probably took that a certain way because, Game reveres Dr. Dre. Now, I can't speak up for whoever the next man personal situation. Now, I don't even want to do that. But from the outside looking in, Game and Bow Wow revered their respected producers at the time, anyways. So sometimes we get frustrated and we say things that we don't mean at the moment. The type of person Game is, I'm sure later on in life, he'll probably fix that and correct that. I just think everything's is you deal with frustration. It's not easy for an artist to be, but a lot of people troll and they talk shit, but when you're on top of the world as an artist, it's not easy when you're not on top of the world anymore. You still have fans and you're still known, but it's not like, you're being revered like you once was. And I think sometimes that's a frustration that gets to some. And with the internet being the internet, instead of kind of voicing it to them, they're voicing it to millions of people, and it becomes headlines. This is the new way that we live now. But I think, my opinion, that I think both of them deep down know who had a big responsibility for their career to be as big as it is, and as big as it was, as bigger as it was.
Yeah, I mean, again.
And and when the Game said it, he was tipsy as hell. He was drinking on Drink Champs, so it all comes out when you know what I'm saying, when you're tipsy.
When you got that oil in your system.
But Game wears his emotions on his sleeve like I do, and I think later on, I think he'll clear it up. I don't think Game wants that on his legacy. No, I don't think he want. So I think it'll get cleared up. That's just. I
hope
opinion,
it do, I hope it do, and I hope Bow, clean it up with JD.
Yeah,
because truth be told, it's very few people who take a chance on child artists, and they got that muscle and that credibility and the foresight.
JD was one of the best to do it.
That you need.
Yeah, you're right.
Oh my god, exactly. Like
he was one of the best to take child artists and blow them up. There wasn't too many producers at the time doing that.
It wasn't too many producers that could do it. That would have that foresight and be able to give them that sound that is still hip hop, but it appeals to a tween generation. And when I heard that, I was a little disappointed, but. I hope they figure it out because I know it's a lot of love.
I think they will. And like you said, I hope so too, because it'll be a shame for that legacy with both of them, with everybody included on both of their careers. That because people would understand, man, you're gonna be dead a lot longer than you're living, so you want your legacy to be right. And me even making up with the Eminem stuff, that I want to do that for my legacy too. I don't want to.
Good for you, and I'm glad you did it. Real talk.
Yeah, I don't want that to be a stain, man. And overlook everything else I've accomplished. You know what I'm saying? So
Okay, I mean, it seemed like 2022 is the year of artists beefing with label owners. Megan Thee Stallion, she came out and she has really been very, very vocal about her dissatisfaction with her label. The label owner, Carl Crawford, Carl recently, he's trying to take her back to court, saying that last album she gave, it ain't by definition a real album. There was something like 25 minutes of new material on it, something like that. Don't quote me. But Megan is like, yo, I gave you've been keeping me here. I've been trying to get off this label for years and you won't let me go. So, okay, I'm giving you the albums and let me out. And now he's saying, yo, you owe me 2 more albums because the last album didn't count. And then Megan calls him a drug addict. He hits her back on social media, his social media again, and says she's a bona fide alcoholic. So it's a little nutty out there right now.
Look, I mean, that's a case where you said first, that's just a bad contract signed. She has lawyers. She's going to have to get in court with that. They're going to have to get in court and straighten that out. Nothing's going to be able to straighten that out. See, that's a situation where I can understand business, the side of what you're saying. That's different from the Diddy and Mace thing.
What's different?
Because Carl Crawford wasn't a part of her group. Like, it wasn't Carl and Megan. Carl wasn't rapping, and you know what I'm saying? You know, that's a situation that was business and it was a contract signed. They're going to have to go in court so that the court can, you know what I'm saying, make a decision on what was enough for an album, how many albums. That's not the same of, yo, I want to rap with you. You know what I'm saying? I want to rap with you. Again, Mace got signed as a solo artist. Diddy inserting himself made them look like a group. He has to take that in consideration. Carl Crawford was just somebody who put her on. She got a bigger deal. And he, you know, and whatever that contract says, she has to honor it. Or they go to court. That's where it's business. Now, I don't know what their personal relationship before this was, you know, but that's different than Mason and Diddy to me.
Got you. More tragedy in the hip hop community. Young Thug's baby mother shot and killed at a bowling alley right in Atlanta.
Horrible.
Right there.
Horrible.
But here's the deal. They saying it was over a bowling ball and the dude actually went outside, waited for 20 minutes for her to come outside, didn't let off.
Prez, I've been in the streets too long. You don't kill no woman and shoot her in the head and it's not over a bowling ball. I've been out here too long. That was not over a bowling ball. Now, what it was over, I don't know. Streets are talking, but I can guarantee you it wasn't an argument over a bowling ball. Guarantee that. It's unfortunate, man. It's horrible, horrible. Just shows the times that we're living in, man. And we, like P said, we need leadership. Because this is getting to the point now where there's no compassion. Like, compassion has been sucked out of everybody's bodies. And nobody gives a fuck about nobody but themselves. And money is leading people into directions that we've never been. You know, when baby moms are getting shot in the head, yeah, this is a whole new chapter of you know, of our culture. And I hope it gets straightened out because I can't even imagine. You know what I'm saying? You know, shout out to Young Thug and my condolences because his kids have to grow up without their mother. So, you know, when you know, that very unfortunate.
All right, before I let you out of here, I want to get your thoughts on something. And I love your input. I love your perspective.
Come on, you bring it out of me, Prezzo.
You really kill. Yeah, like
you bring it out of me, Prezzo.
I have fun. I have fun these last couple of hours, kid. Real talk. But I got it. I mean, this is off topic, but I got to get your thoughts on this. Male contraceptive pills. They're saying it's 99% effective in mice. They're about to start human trials later this year. Number one, are you, if this is found, yo, it work in humans, is Ray Benzino getting on the pill? That's number one.
Right.
And number two, do you think that a lot of these high net worth men who are sleeping with women, the women get pregnant, the woman's like, yo, you knew it was a chance I was going to get pregnant, so I'm not getting rid of this. And now he mad because he got to spend $50,000, $60,000 a month, like dudes like Tristan Thompson out here making babies every year on the year. Do you think them dudes is actually gonna get on the pill, or are they still
you kidding me?
Going?
They're gonna be popping them things like bubble gum, man. That's gonna be the new candy for. I mean, all it's gonna mean is more STDs. To be honest with you, you know, it's gonna be a lot more STDs, a lot more people going to the clinic burning like a motherfucker. No question, you know. But you know, I think it's necessary. I think it's necessary because, you know, some of these women out here are, you know, that's a check to them. You know what I'm saying? It's kind of, I know women out there like, damn, it kind of put a monkey wrench in their whole shit. Because you have women out there who go get pregnant just for the check. So it has its good points and its bad points. Me, you know, my days of sleeping with a whole bunch of women are over. You know, I'm in a relationship with somebody now, and you know, if I decide that I don't want any more babies, then I would take it. But I don't know. I might have one or two more in me. Who knows? You know what I'm saying? Who knows? But I just know that I think that's good. I think that's good that men have birth control because, you know, Prez, a lot what's messing up our society is kids having kids in our hoods when, you know, neither the male or female were ready, or they wasn't even going to be together. I think that's a major problem. So with that, I think that, you know, that's going to help our community out, that we're just not making babies to be left fatherless, to be the one-parent household of just a mother, to be people on child support. That's going to help that a lot, you know. Mm-hmm. What's crazy is, man, how the hell did mice have our same makeup? Yo, I always wondered that. The fuck, how does, like, fucking mice are like humans, like, you know what I'm saying? Like they try, I mean, in order to test mice, they have to be close to what we are. And that always, I could see monkeys, but damn, where the fuck how does a mice, you feed him male contraceptives? I guess when a mouse goes humps and they're not having babies, because mice have lots of babies. So I know the mice world is going to be better. You know, you know, did you know mice have like 30 fucking, they have like, their litter is ridiculous. So maybe it'll be less rats and mice in the world.
Bronx, man.
Yeah, man, it's just, you know, they need to just go throw them all around New York City. So it'll be less rats.
Absolutely.
That might be the solution.
That's the cure. All right, Ray, it's been my pleasure, brother. I mean, these are the interviews I love to do, man. Like, you bring the best out in me, and God willing, I bring the best out in you.
Likewise, man. I appreciate you. Shout out to DJ Vlad. Shout out to Ron, his wife. Shout out to my man Memphis Bo for getting me here. I was a little late. And man, listen, man, everybody stay safe out there, man, and stop the trolling, people. Stop the trolling.
That's it. Peace and love, y'all.
Love.